A philosopher came to Buddha one day and asked, "Without words, without the wordless, will you tell me the truth?" The Buddha kept silence. The philosopher bowed and thanked Buddha, saying, "With your loving kindness I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path." After the philosopher had gone, Ananda asked Buddha what the philosopher had attained. The Buddha replied, "A good horse runs even at the shadow of the whip."
Philosopher came to Buddha one day and asked, "Without words, without the wordless, will you tell me the truth?" It is very rarely that a philosopher comes to a Buddha. It is almost impossible. But whenever it happens, it can become a revolution. It can become a transformation in the philosopher. Why it is so impossible that a philosopher cannot come to Buddha? Because philosophy and religion are very antagonistic. Their approach is totally opposite, diametrically opposite. Philosophy believes in thinking, and religion believes in trust. A thinker doubts easily, but cannot trust so easily. A doubting mind is needed to be a philosopher. A very skeptical mind to be religious. Deep trust is needed, not at all skeptical, not doubting at all. The philosopher lives through logic. The religious man lives through love. And there is no way to help love and logic meet. There is no way. They never meet. Their paths never cross each other. They may run parallel, just like the railway tracks, but they never meet. They may be very close, but they always run parallel. Even if you think they meet somewhere, it is illusion. Just stand at a railway line track and see the rails running parallel. In the far away distant horizon, you will think they are meeting. They are not meeting. That is illusion. Go to that point and you will find they are still parallel. Two parallel lines can never meet. Heart and head are parallel lines. They never meet. You can take a jump from one line, you can go to the other. That's possible. You can take a jump from the head to the heart. But there is no continuity. It is a jump. If you believe in the head too much, that means believing in doubting. This jump becomes impossible. There have been great philosophers. They thought and they pondered and contemplated. And they have created big systems, miracles of words. But they are not nearer to truth than any ignorant man. Rather, on the contrary, the ignorant man may be nearer, because at least he is humble in his ignorance. At least he is not egoist. At least he can listen to the others. At least if a Buddha comes to the town, the ignorant man can go, because he knows he does not know. That much humility is there. A philosopher cannot go, because he already knows. That's the problem. Without knowing anything, he thinks he knows. This is happening every day with me. If a philosopher comes, a psychiatrist comes, a man who has studied psychology, philosophy and religion in some university, it is almost difficult to have any communion with him. You can discuss, but you cannot meet. You will move parallel. You may look close because you use the same words, but that is just appearance. Why it is so difficult for logic to love? Because love needs a very courageous act. And that courageous act is to move into the unknown. Logic is always a coward. It never moves into the unknown. Logic says, first I must know. When the territory is well known, I will move. Love has no adventure in it. Love is absolutely adventurous. Sometimes even it looks foolish. To the logical mind, it always looks foolish. That what are you doing? Moving into the unknown? Without knowing where you are going? What you are doing? And leaving the territory that was known, secure, safe. Becoming unnecessarily homeless. Don't lose that you have got. First be sure of that which you are going to gain. This is the problem. Logic says, first know the further step well, only then leave the step you are standing on. Then you can never leave this step, because there is no way of knowing the further step unless you reach to it. Logic is, I have heard once it happened, Mullah Nasruddin wanted to learn swimming. He went to a teacher. The teacher said, come along with me, I am going to the river. It is not difficult, you will learn. It is simple, even children learn. But accidentally, when Nasruddin reached near the bank, he slipped. It was muddy, and he fell down, and he became very much afraid. He ran to the farthest point at the bank under a tree. The teacher followed. He said, why are you escaping? Where are you going? Nasruddin said, listen, now first teach me swimming, only then I will come nearer thee. This is dangerous. If something goes wrong, who will be responsible? So now I will come near the river only when I have learned swimming. But is there any way to learn swimming without coming to the river? So Mullah Nasruddin remained without learning it. It is too dangerous. The step is too foolish. A man, a learned man, a man of logic cannot take that step. The logic becomes a grave. You become confined more and more, because life is dangerous. There is no way to avoid it. It is always moving into the unknown. The river is always going towards the sea. This is how life progresses. It always leaves the known, moves into the unknown. That's the way life is. Nothing can be done about it. If you try to do it, then the Ganges should be flowing towards the Gangotri, because that is the known thing. Not towards Ganga Sagar, not towards the ocean. In African myth, there is a bird. The name is Woofal Woofal. African. The word is one of the most mythological in all the mythologies of the world. Only one peculiarity that word has. The word is not interested where he is going. The word is interested only from where he is coming. So he goes backwards. He never reaches anywhere because he is always interested from where he is coming. He is interested in the past. That means as if you are old and going towards the womb. This is impossible. But this is how human mind functions. With logic, you move towards the source. With love, you move towards the ultimate flowering. The dimensions are different. Logic asks who created the world. He is interested in the creator, in the past, the original source, Gangotri, from where the Ganges flows. Love never asks who created the world. It is already there, so why bother? And whosoever created ABC makes no difference. How it is going to affect you? Who created the world? Whether it was a Hindu God, a Brahma, or a Christian Trinity, what difference does it make? Love is interested what is going to be the ultimate flowering. Love is interested in Buddhahood. Love is interested what is going to happen to me, to my seed, how it will flower. Note the difference. Logic always interested in the known, in the past, the path that you have already traveled. Love always interested into the unknown, into the ultimate flowering. The path that you have not traveled, not only not traveled, the path that you have not even imagined, not even dreamed. That's why a philosopher rarely comes to a Buddha. They are moving diametrically opposite. A philosopher going to the past and a Buddha moving to the future. Their departing point may be the same, but there is no meeting point. But when a philosopher comes to a Buddha, rarely it happens, but whenever it happens, there is immediate transformation. Why? Because if a philosopher comes to a Buddha, it means deep down he has understood the failure of philosophy. Otherwise, why he should come? Deep down he has felt the failure of logic. He made every effort to know truth through it, arguing about and against, far in favor, against. He has been arguing and now come to the point where he knows the whole thing is futile. Nothing can be known through it. This failure gives him the deepest humility possible in the world. Even an ignorant man is not so humble, because he is not such a deep failure. He has not come to know the suffering of failure. He has not been thrown from the peak to the valley. This philosopher was thinking that he is at the peak. Suddenly he becomes aware that he has been standing in the valley and dreaming about the peak. There has never been a peak. He has not moved a single inch. The truth has remained as unknown as ever. His whole life has been a wastage. When somebody comes to feel this, suddenly the ego disappears. one becomes humble. And unless you are humble, you cannot come to a Buddha. Only humbleness, deep humility can bring you to a Buddha. Now you are ready to learn, because you don't know anything. So there are two types of ignorances. Ordinary ignorance, when a man is ignorant, but is not aware that he is ignorant. When a philosopher becomes aware that he is ignorant, this is a second type of ignorance, very deep. He has come to realize that he is ignorant. He is fully aware that he is ignorant. When ignorance is aware of itself, that becomes the first step of wisdom. So the first thing to understand, a philosopher came to Buddha one day and asked. There were many philosophers in Buddha's days. Really, there has never been such a flowering of intellect as it happened that time. Not only in India, all over the world. Buddha was here, Mahavir was here, Prakuddhakatyayan, a great logician, Ajit Keskambal, a great philosopher, Makhli Gosal, a rare intellect, Sanjay Bilattiput, and many others were there in Bihar. Now their names are not much known because they never created any following. Exactly at the same time, in Greece there was Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, the three who created the whole Western mind. Exactly the same time in China there was Confucius, Lao Tse, Chuang Tzu, Mencius. It seems at that peak, all over the world, the mind was at its Everest. Only three cultures are there. One is Chinese, another is Indian, and another is Greek. Only three cultures are in existence. All else is just the byproducts. The whole West originated with the Greek mind in Athens. The whole Chinese civilization, a totally different type of civilization, arose out of Confucius and Lao Tse's confrontation. And all that is beautiful in India came out of Buddha, Mahavir. And these people existed at a single moment of history. Historians say that history moves like a wheel. There are moments when intelligence at its peak. There are moments when intelligence goes down. These were the times when intelligence was at its peak. Many were the philosophers. Particularly in India, the whole country was philosophic. People moved from this corner to that corner seeking for truth. Millions of seekers. Only when there are millions of seekers, then few can become enlightened. Because it is a pyramid-like thing. A pyramid is very broad at the base, and then by and by and by comes the peak. A Buddha exists only when at the broad base millions of people are seeking truth. Otherwise he cannot exist. There is no possibility. He cannot stand where he will stand. He needs millions seekers. They become the base. And in those days, when everywhere systems were created, and such complicated, complex systems that there has never been any comparison to them. They say, historians of philosophy, religion, that India knew at that time all that has been known in philosophy. Every shade and nuance of thought, every way of approach. India looked through all the paths and possibilities, and every possibility has been finished. Now, after that time, there has been nothing new in philosophy. And if you think there is something new, it only means that you are not well acquainted with India. Nothing has been new after Buddha, because at that time everything was searched. Almost every possibility finished. And if you think in the West, many people come to realize and think that they are giving something new. It looks new because they are unacquainted. They don't know. And now the whole treasure is hidden in Pali, Prakrit and Sanskrit, languages not spoken, not used. But every nuance of thought. For example, when for the first time Sigmund Freud said that I suspect that conscious mind is not the whole mind. Deep down the conscious there is a subconscious layer. And even beyond that, I suspect an unconscious layer. It was thought that it's a very revolutionary discovery. But at Buddhist time, it was known. Not only this, Buddha talks about still further layers. He talks about 7 layers of the mind. These 3 are there, as Freud says, but 4 more. And if he is right up to the 3, there is every possibility he will be right beyond them, because he is on the right track. Then Jung suggested that beyond the unconscious there seems to be a collective unconscious. That is the 4th layer of Buddha. Now the whole psychology has come to the 4th layer. All 4 are suggested by Buddha, but 3 more are there. Sooner or later we will discover them. And then there has never been such appreciation for thinking, logic, and the hair splitting went to its very extreme. Buddha talks about 7 layers of mind, and Prakuddha Katyayana talks about 700 layers of mind. Incomprehensible. But very logical. And possibility is there that the mind can be divided into 700 layers. Nothing is impossible. At that time, a philosopher came to Buddha. Try to understand first the situation of Buddha. Buddha's situation is as anti-metaphysical as possible. He is not a philosopher. Really, you cannot find a man who is more anti-philosophical than Buddha. Because he says all philosophical questions are nonsense. This is the standpoint now in the West. Bertrand Russell, Wittgenstein. The latest discovery in the West is Wittgenstein. And this is the standpoint of Wittgenstein, that all philosophical questions, answers are nonsense. Still, if you ask a question, a philosophical question, Bertrand Russell answers it, yes or no. Buddha never answered, because if it's nonsense, why answer? Buddha will keep silence. So it was the routine. Whenever the Buddha will come to any town, Buddha's bhikkhus will go in the town and inform people that please don't ask these 11 questions. They had a list of 11 questions. In those 11 questions, all metaphysics is finished. You cannot ask anything beyond those 11. They are the whole expense of all philosophical inquiry. So beforehand, before Buddha will reach to the town, the bhikkhus will go and spread the news that please don't ask about these 11 questions because he is not going to answer. If you have something beyond these 11, you can come, you are invited. But there is nothing beyond those 11. So what to do? This man was not a philosopher. He was not skeptical. He didn't believe in doubt. And he didn't believe in doubt so much that he never talked about trust. This has to be understood. Because a trust is needed only if you are in doubt. If you are not in doubt, why talk about trust? All talk about faith means doubt has entered. He never said belief. Because he said there is no question of believing or not believing. One has to be. It is not an intellectual question. Because faith or doubt both remain intellectual. From where you doubt? From the mind. From where you will believe? From the mind. So your belief will also be from the same root. It will be already poisoned. Who will believe and who will doubt? You will remain the same. And you are the problem. So Buddha hits at the root. He says, no need to trust. No need to doubt. You simply come to me and be. Don't move to this extreme. Don't move to the other. Don't take any standpoint. Simply be in the middle. That's why his path is known as the middle path. Majjhima Nikaya. Never move to the extreme. This is one of the most original discoveries about human mind and its functioning. Because the mind always likes to move to the opposite. You love a person. Through love you magnify the person. He becomes a god. Then when love disappears, immediately you start hating. Nobody stops in the middle. And then you do exactly the opposite. Then the person shrinks under your hate, becomes a devil. Is there any way to stand between God and devil and not move to the opposites? Mind feels very easy from move to this to the contrary. There is no problem. You have been doing that. You doubt a person, then you can believe. You believe a person, then you can doubt. Buddha says, stop in the middle. Because in the middle there is no mind. Mind exists only on the extremes. Love, mind is there. Hate, mind is there. Far, mind is there. Against, mind is there. In the middle, mind cannot exist. In the middle, there is no possibility of any thought. Because either the thought will be of doubt or of trust, of love or hate, enmity or friendship. And you know well that in every friend, the enemy is hidden. In every enemy, the friend is possible. One of the most cunning minds of the world, Machiavelli, has written in his book, The Prince, that don't say anything, even to a friend, which you would not like to say to an enemy. Because a friend is a potential enemy. Any day. And don't say anything against an enemy which you would not like to say against a friend, because then you will be in trouble any day. If the enemy becomes the friend, then you will be embraced. And this is a suggestion from a politician to princes, politicians. So politicians remain alert. The more they become seasoned, you cannot find in their words statements against whom they are talking, for whom they are talking. Their words become more and more elusive. So it is possible if the friend turns into enemy, they will not be in trouble. If the enemy turns into a friend, and every day it is just like climate. Politics changes like climate. And you never know. I have heard two politicians were talking about a third fellow traveler. One said, this man is so dishonest, so cunning, so crude, that I have never known anybody like that. This is the most dishonest man here. And this man said, and I feel that you don't know him as well as I know him. The other man said, no, you are wrong. I also know him very well. The first said, how you can know him very well? I am his best friend. Only friends know each other very well. And he is saying that he is the most dishonest, the greatest rascal around. And he says, how you can know him very well? I am his best friend. Friendship or enmity are two phases of one mind. Stop in the middle. And Buddha stopped in the middle. And he helped many people to stop in the middle. It is just like walking on a tightrope. Have you observed a tightrope walker? What he is doing? One of the deepest truths of life are revealed there. Whenever he feels that he will fall to the left, he immediately moves to the right. It may not be so visible to you because you think he is moving to the right, leaning to the right. But whenever he leans to the right, he knows that he was going to fall towards the left, just to balance. When he feels he is going to fall at the right, he immediately leans towards the left. Opposite has to be chosen to get balance. When you love a person too much in the morning, in the evening you have to hate him. Otherwise you will fall down from the rope. It is a tightrope walking. If you love a person too much, you have leaned too much to the left. Now you will fall. To gain balance, you have to lean to the left. Lovers are always in fight. That is just a sort of balance. Nothing else. Nothing serious. It is natural. Unless you get down the rope. That's another thing. That's what Buddha says. Buddha says, don't lean to the right, don't lean to the left. Then what will happen? You will fall down from the rope. And that rope is the mind. That rope is the ego. You have to balance it. Continuously balance it. So, it looks so paradoxical. Whenever you hate your beloved, your wife, your friend, really, you are trying to get balance so that you can love again. Otherwise, you will fall down from the mind, and without mind, there is no love, no hate. At least the hate that you know, the love that you know, they are not there. a different kind of compassion arises, which is beyond the duality. But that arises only when you have lost the rope, lost the effort to balance on the rope. When you are lost, your ego is lost. Ego is a subtle balance. A philosopher came to Buddha one day and asked, without words, without the wordless, will you tell me the truth? He is asking something impossible. But near a Buddha, the impossible becomes possible. And only near a Buddha, the impossible becomes possible. Then all laws, ordinary laws, are broken there. What he is asking? He is asking without words and without the wordless, will you tell me the truth? This has happened many times. Once before also it happened with Buddha. Another man came, but the man must have been totally different qualitatively, because Buddha behaved differently. A Buddha has no fixed answers. He has no obsession, because he has no mind. Whenever a person comes before him, he is just like a mirror. He reflects the person. Another man asked the same question. The man came and asked, "Sir, can you tell me something about the truth without using words?" Buddha said, "Then you will have to ask it without using words. You ask and I tell." If you can't ask without using words, how do you expect? So go. Train yourself. Be ready to ask it without using words. Then come. But to this philosopher, Buddha didn't reply in that way. And this man was asking really a different question. Because this man was different. The question carries the meaning of the person. The question has no meaning in the words. It carries you, your quality. You can ask the same question, but it cannot mean the same. If you are different, the question will be different. A word carries meaning from the person. A word in itself is meaningless. Dictionaries you may consult and you may come to know the meaning of the words, but that is not a real live meaning. It is dead. When a person uses a word, he gives it a live meaning, a real meaning. The significance comes from the person. This man asked what he asked, a very subtle question. He said, without words and without the wordless, will you tell me the truth? Without words, it was easy. You can remain silent. But without the wordless, it becomes impossible. Because if you remain silent, you are using the word less. And the man has asked, don't use words. Don't use no words. And tell me the truth. Silence won't help. Words won't help. Language will not be of much use, and silence also is not of much use. Then what Buddha is going to do? The Buddha kept silence. But this silence is different. There are two types of silence. When you keep silence, it is a forced stillness. Words are there within you. Noise is there. Silence is just on the surface. You look silent, you are not silent. This is one type of silence that you know. There is another type of silence that on the surface also you are silent, and you can be forced inside also to be silent. If you are in a danger, somebody threatens you that he is going to kill you, you will become silent inside also. But this silence will be wordless. First silence, when on the surface you were silent, inside there were words and chattering, was silence with word. This silence will be silence wordless. There is no noise within, because in a dangerous situation, in a shock, the noise has stopped. But still it is not a Buddha silence. A Buddha's silence is the third type of silence which you have not known. It is neither with noise nor with no noise. Buddha is silent, not that he has forced his words to be silent. It is not a stillness with effort. He is simply silent because there is nothing else to do. This silence is positive, not the opposite of word. This silence is in the middle, not on the other extreme. One extreme is word, another extreme is wordlessness. This silence is just in the middle. There is no word, there is no wordlessness. He is simply silent, not against noise. If you are against noise, then your silence can be disturbed very easily. You know many people who are praying or meditating, and a child starts laughing and giggling, and they are disturbed. There is some noise on the street, traffic noise. There is somebody honking the horn, and they are disturbed. A silence that is forced can be disturbed very easily. Only a silence that is forced can be disturbed. But if you are really silent in the sense of a Buddha, a child starts giggling, a word starts singing, somebody honks the horn, the noise will be there, but you are not disturbed. The noise will come and pass, just as in an empty room. The noise comes from this door and goes from that door. There is nobody inside who can be disturbed. But if you have a forced silence, then you are there. The ego is there, just riding on the mind, just forcing the mind, just making every effort to be silent. This is a constrained, strained silence. It can be disturbed very easily. Even a child can disturb. Then what type of Buddhahood is this? This is no Buddhahood. This is just a false coin. Remember, while meditating, this will be your deepest problem. Ordinarily, you are chattering. You can move to the opposite end easily. You can force the chattering not to be there. It is just like a child is playing, running around, doing many things uselessly, and you treat him that he will be punished. Sit in that corner, and you are strong, and the child is helpless. So he sits in the corner, looks very Buddha-like, but bubbling, exploding within, just getting ready to get any chance, and he can start running again. Look at a child when you have forced him. That will be the second type of silence. He is not moving. If you force him too much, he will not even move the body. He will close the eyes. But what he is doing? Forcing himself. Fighting with himself. Constant effort He is pushing himself down, sitting on his own chest. He will not be able to breathe because of it. Because if you breathe, then movement starts. That's why nobody breathes really. You have lost the dimension of breathing from your childhood when you were forced. Everybody breathes just from the upper lungs. The breath cannot go deep because you are afraid. From your very childhood, you have been forced. Look at a child sleeping. See what is happening. His chest remains unmoving. His belly moves. His breath goes to the deepest, to the very bottom. His belly moves. His chest is unmoving. This child is still not part of society. He is not a citizen. He is still wild. You will have to train him. Then you will have to force. And whenever you say to a child, don't do this, how he can manipulate himself? The first thing is not to breathe. Whenever you suppress something, you start shallow breathing. Suppression and shallow breathing are synonymous. Whenever you throw your suppression, you express, breathing goes deep. Only while you are fast asleep, the breathing goes deep. Because in sleep you cannot suppress. The ego has fallen unconscious. So in sleep you breathe from the belly. That is the right sort of breathing. Or while making love, your breathing goes deep. It has to go. Because all suppressions are around sex. And if you are making love, if you allow sex, then all suppressions are thrown away. Then the breath goes deep. It goes to the belly. You again breathe like a child. You again become wild. You again become natural. You again become spontaneous. Look at a child when you have threatened him. And look at your monks in the monasteries. You have threatened them also. Afraid of hell. In greed of heaven, they are sitting there, suppressed. Their silence is of the other pole, the other extreme. They are wordless. They have forced the word to disappear. But they are not beyond the two. Buddha remained silent. Buddha is of the third dimension. He will not say anything. Word is not allowed. He will not suppress the word because the wordlessness is not allowed. He simply remained there, not thinking, not meditating, simply there like a tree. For 500 years after Buddha, his statue was not made. For 500 years continuously, there was no picture of Buddha. And whenever Buddha was to be represented, people just draw the Bodhi tree. That was beautiful, because he was just like a tree. Can you say this tree is silent? You cannot say, because this tree is never noisy. So how it can be silent? Can you say this tree is meditating? How can it meditate? It never thought. There has been no thinking, so how it can meditate? Then where this tree is? This tree is in the third dimension, where no chattering exists and no non-chattering exists. This tree is in the middle, exactly in the middle. You may not be a Buddha, but this tree is a Bodhi tree. And if you could sit under a tree just like the tree, you will become a Buddha. And any tree will become a Bodhi tree. All trees are. Just only Buddhas are needed to discover which tree is a Bodhi tree. Sit under any tree, and if you are in the middle, the tree becomes the Bodhi tree. All trees are. Only somebody is needed to reveal the fact, because trees don't believe in advertisement, otherwise they will reveal. The Buddha kept silent. The philosopher bowed and thanked Buddha, saying, with your loving kindness, I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path. Seems to be miraculous or absurd, because Buddha has not said anything and he has understood. And I have been saying things and you have not understood. And there were many with Buddha also, with whom he was saying, and they will not understand. And this man understood without word, without wordlessness. What happened? What type of communication happened in that moment when Buddha kept silent? No knowledge was transferred, obviously, because you cannot transfer knowledge without words. You cannot transfer knowledge without wordlessness, because there are two types of knowledge. One, ordinary knowledge, which can be transferred through words. There is another kind of knowledge, occult, which can be transferred through wordlessness, occult, telepathic. You need not say, but it can be transferred. Both were not allowed. That philosopher said, don't use words and don't use no words. I am fed up with both. I am fed up with all extreme polarities. I have moved into logic too much, from this to that. I have lived all the possibilities of logic and enough. You simply give me without word and without wordlessness. And what happened? What type of transfer? What communion happened in this moment? In a single moment it happened. And the philosopher bowed and thanked Buddha and said, with your loving kindness, I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path. When a Buddha is silent, and if you also can be silent, then being is transferred, not knowledge. Not what Buddha knows, but what Buddha is. Being is transferred. Suddenly he enters you if you are silent. And this man, who was asking genuinely about the true path, and who was asking not to use words and not to use wordlessness, who was denying all duality, was ready. Buddha kept silent. The philosopher looked at Buddha. The look was there. He was attentive. He gave his total attention what was happening. He was not thinking. He had finished that. He has thought enough. That's why I say whenever a philosopher comes, it is a transformation. He was fed up with it. You are still not fed up with it. You still cling to it because you have not thought to the very end. You still hope that someday through thinking you may come to a conclusion, because you have not gone to the very end. If you go to the very end, you will know that thinking gives never any conclusions. It is never conclusive. It only gives you the feeling that soon the door is to open. The door opens, of course, but only opens in another room. Then there is another door. It also opens, but in another room. You are never out of it. The house seems to be infinite, millions of rooms. From one room you enter another, from another you enter another, and you go on moving and always hoping that this door will lead me out. It leads only again into a room. If you have gone to the very end, as this man had gone, then you can listen in silence. He was not waiting for any answer, because he knows answers cannot be given without words. Answers cannot be given without wordlessness. All answers will be either this or that. Buddha kept silent. That man looked at Buddha. In that look, the two personalities dissolved. There were not two. In that moment, there was one. Two bodies, two hearts throbbing, but one being. All the boundaries transcended. Buddha trespassed him. He entered. It is a transfer of being. The man tasted what Buddha is, not what he knows. He does not know much. You can defeat Buddha very easily. You can know easily more. Now more knowledge is available. That's not the question. But Buddha has more being. Gurdjieff used to ask every seeker, whosoever will come to him, the first question Gurdjieff used to ask was whether you are in search of knowledge or of being. You want to know more or you want to be more. And these are basically different dimensions. And if somebody will say that I want to know more, Gurdjieff will say this door is closed. I am not here to depart knowledge to you. You could go, there are many departments. Universities, colleges, they are departing knowledge, you go there. When you are fed up with knowledge, then come and knock. If I am alive, this door is open. But this door is open only for those who are in search of being. What you are going, even if you come to know, how it is going to help? A man can know everything about water, but how it is going to satisfy the thirst? It is so patently foolish. You may be knowing that H2O is the base of all water, and a man is dying of thirst in a desert, and you write the formula on a paper and this is the secret of water. He will say, okay, this is the secret, but what about my thirst? A man is dying without love, and you go on feeding him knowledge about love. How it is going to help? Millions of books are there about love, but not even a single lover can be satisfied by them. How it is going to help? A man is dying. He is dying and you talk about immortality. This is not going to feed him. This is not going to create immortality for him. Being is needed. Somebody to impart being, not knowledge. Knowledge is about and about. Being is at the center, knowledge is at the periphery. You have come to me. Have you come to gather more knowledge? Then you have come to a wrong person. Then you are wasting your time. But if you are in search of being, then something is possible. At that moment this miracle happened. The mystery of Buddha opened. It always opens in silence, just like a flower opens in the midnight. Nobody knows. It opens in silence. If somebody is there who can wait patiently, then the flower can impart, share his being. Buddha entered in that moment. Ananda, who was Buddha's chief disciple, couldn't understand what is happening because he was after knowledge. He was needed in a way, but he was not the right seeker. Because it is because of Anand that we know all that Buddha said. He collected. He was the tape recorder. But now tape recorders are available, so I don't need any Anand. And that is not good also. A thing that can be done by a mechanical device should not be done by a man, because doing it he becomes mechanical. Ananda could repeat every single word Buddha used in 40 years. He was one of the rare memories. When Buddha died, he repeated the whole 40 years, thousands of pages. He recorded them. He was needed, but he was not the real seeker. A recorder, and a good recorder. But for himself, he was missing something. If you are recording what I am saying, you are missing something. Don't be a memory before me. Don't record. Understand. Because when you are in the effort to record, you misunderstanding. And there are many people who think first record it, then we will try and understand it. I have seen many people who will take notes. Here I am talking and they are taking notes. Here they are missing me, and at home they will look at their notes and then try to understand them. There are people who will go to the Himalayas, and then there what they will do, they will just hunt for good scenery and pictures and take photographs. There, the Himalaya doesn't exist, only the camera. Then back home they will look at the album and enjoy. You could have got pictures. There was no need to go to the Himalayas. Professional photographers are doing that. There is no need for you to go. And you cannot do better than the professionals. Your photographs will be amateurish, but then sitting in home, you will enjoy them. You miss the Himalaya, and you have brought only second-hand photographs. Try to understand what I am saying. Try to be. Don't record it. There is no need. Just forget what I said. If you have really understood, it will follow you like a fragrance. No need to carry it in the memory. It will be part of your being. In that moment, the philosopher understood. He bowed down in deep gratitude. And what he said, the words are very, very significant. He said, with your loving kindness, not that with your great wisdom. No. Not that you know so much, you are all-knowing. Your wisdom, your knowledge. No, that was not the point. With your loving kindness. Buddha says that when one becomes enlightened, he has two things in him. They flower simultaneously. One is karuna, kindness, loving kindness. Another is wisdom, prajna. Two things flower in it. So if you are a seeker after knowledge, he will talk to you through his wisdom. But that is secondary. But if you are a seeker of being, He will talk to you through His loving kindness, through His karuna. Wisdom can miss the target, but karuna never misses. Loving kindness never misses. When this man said, without words and without no words, will you tell me the truth? He was saying, I am not here to know more. I have done that already too much. I have gathered much knowledge, but it never gives you freedom. Rather, on the contrary, it becomes an imprisonment. Now I am here to know something about being, to be myself. I want the taste, not the words. I want to enter. Buddha remained silent, looked from his whole being at the man with a deep flowing love and kindness. Whenever you look towards somebody with deep love, something flows from you to the other person. Just like a river flows to the ocean. But the other person needs to be just like a valley. Only then it can flow, otherwise it cannot flow. Just the other day somebody asked me, I have come to see you. You are sitting on the chair and I am sitting down. Why? Why not another chair for me? I said, it is possible. But I am not losing anything in it. You can have even a taller chair than me. Or you can just go on the roof and sit there. But I am not losing anything. You will lose much. Because it is simply symbolic. You have to be a valley. Only then the river can flow. Just like the water flows towards the valley. You have to be a valley. A deep humbleness, receptivity, a womb. So that you can receive. This man remained silent before Buddha. Humble, ready to receive. Buddha looked at him with a deep love, infinite love. He flowed into him. He got the taste. He lived Buddha for a moment. He had the glimpse, as if for a single moment, the darkness disappeared. There was lightning. For a single moment when Buddha's being touched this man, there was lightning. Everything changed. He bowed down in deep gratitude, said, with your loving kindness, I have cleared away my delusions. Through theories, delusions cannot be cleared away. No philosophy can help. Delusions are very real. They need something more real than they are. Only then they can be dispelled. If you are in the delusions of sex, no theories will be of any help. Only a love flowing towards you will dispel them. Because love is a higher reality than sex. If you are in delusions about the world, only a Buddha can dispel them. If he flows in you, for that moment there is no world. For that moment only Buddha existed. There was no world. For that moment, even the seeker was not there. He said, I have cleared away my delusions and entered the true path. After the philosopher had gone, Ananda asked Buddha, he must have been puzzled. What is happening? Buddha has not said anything. If he had said, Ananda would have recorded. If I keep silence, this tape recorder will miss. The tape recorder, if it can ask, will ask what happened. Because the tape recorder can only record the visible, the sound, the physical. The spiritual completely is beyond it. Ananda was deeply puzzled. What is happening? He must have been ready that this man has raised a great question. Now what Buddha is going to say? And then Buddha said nothing. Not only that happened many times. Buddha will not say anything. That was not new. But this man bowed down as if he received something. And he said, I have entered the true path. And he said, through your loving kindness, all my delusions are cleared away. Ananda was present and he missed. How you will be able to understand what happened? Why Ananda missed? He was not humble. That remained the whole problem for him. He was a cousin brother of Buddha, elder cousin brother. That created the whole trouble. He always deep down believed that he is elder than Buddha. And he knows this man from the very childhood. He may have become wise in some ways. He may be a little ahead than me, but I am his elder brother. That continued in his unconscious, created the barrier. It is very difficult. If a Jesus is born to your family, it is very difficult for the mother, for the father, for the brothers, sisters, for the family, for the town to recognize. Impossible. Because how can you believe that a miracle can happen in your family? How can you believe that a miracle has happened to this and has not happened to me? No, it is impossible. You know yourself well, you know others also, then either this man is deceiving, or something of minor importance has happened which can happen to you also. A little effort is needed. No other problem is there. This remained the barrier, and Ananda remained blind. He asked after the philosopher had gone, what the philosopher had attained. Because I don't see anything being communicated. I don't see anything happening. And this man says he has attained the path. He has entered. What has happened? The Buddha replied, and the reply is beautiful. He said, a good horse runs even at the shadow of the whip. There are 3 types of horses. All the 3 types are here. First type, unless you beat him, he will not budge. You beat him and he will somehow carry the burden a little. You stop beating and he stops. You have to be constantly on him, beating, whipping. Only then a little progress is made. Then there is another type of horse. So much beating is not needed. Just once you treat him, or you are going to beat him, and he will move. And then there is a third type of horse, the best. Just the shadow of the whip. Not even the whip. Just the shadow of the whip. You need not even raise the whip. Just the possibility. And he will run. This third type of horse attains enlightenment in a single moment. Buddha did nothing. He neither whipped this man nor threatened him with hell and heaven. He didn't say even anything. He remained silent. And in the silence the shadow was seen. It was enough. It happened once. 3 ministers of Akbar, the great Mughal, did something wrong. It was a crime. So he asked the one that what should I do? What punishment? The man said, it is enough that you asked. Went home and committed suicide. The second man was sent to the jail for 2 years. And the third man was sent to the gallows. Other ministers became very puzzled because the crime was the same. They were all partners in one crime. And all the 3 has confessed. So they asked, what type of justice is this? That one man is not even said anything. He is left to go home. Another has been sentenced for 2 years. And the third to the gallows. Akbar said there are 3 different type of horses. For the first, just the shadow of the whip was enough. I asked him what type of punishment he would like. And he said, this is enough. He went home, committed suicide. This was too much. Enough punishment has been given. The second man has been sent to the jail for 2 years. Because less than that won't do. Now he is continuously thinking that it was bad that I did it. And as soon as I am out of the jail, I will do some good deeds so the balance is regained. He is not feeling any guilty, just missed. And he will regain. He is thinking and planning how to come out and how. The third man, even a life imprisonment will not be enough. Because he doesn't feel at all that any crime has been done. Rather on the contrary, he thinks because he was not clever enough, that's why he has been caught. Next time he will be more clever. He will learn the secrets. He will learn the tricks more and better, that's all. He feels no guilt. This man, no punishment can help this man. This man has to be removed from society. And the first man has removed himself because this was too much. Said Buddha, a good horse runs even at the shadow of the whip. If you are understanding, the shadow is enough. No hell is needed for you. Those are created for the third type of the horse. Those who will not listen. No heaven is needed for you, for your greed and gratification. Life is enough if you understand. And if you feel, you will start changing through your feeling. A mutation happens if you become more and more sensitive towards life. The very sensitivity gives you awareness, alertness. Otherwise, even a Buddha cannot help. I have heard Mullah Nasruddin fingered a banker who was coming out of his office and said, what about 2 annas for a cup of coffee? The mullah was looking so distressed, so sad, that the man felt, and he said, "Here is 1 rupee. You take it and have 8 cups of coffee." So Mullah went. Next day, he was again there on the steps of the office. And as the banker came out, he punched on his face, on the nose. The man said, "Hey, what are you doing? And this after I gave you 1 rupee just yesterday. What type of thankfulness is this?" Mullah said, "You and your lousy 8 cups of coffee." And he punched again on his nose and said, "They kept me awake the whole night." Nobody has said to him that go and take 8 cups of coffee right now. Don't take even a Buddha in too much dose. It will keep you awake the whole night, and you may like to punch my nose. Be understanding, sensitive. Move according to your understanding, your possibility, capacity. Look always at the shadow of the whip and move according to the shadow. Be more alert, more and more alert. Otherwise, even religion can be poison. Otherwise, you can fall into hell because of a Buddha. Buddha is not the certainty, he is not the guarantee. Finally, your own awareness. If you are aware by and by, you will see that less and less thoughts come to the mind. The old pail breaks. The water flows out. It makes no reflection of the moon. And only when the reflection is gone, you can look at the sky, at the real moon. No water, no moon. Enough for today.